Hello everyone. Welcome to a video. I have not uploaded in a while, and I just decided to not upload for the remainder of the leagues that I was in just before. Just because I didn't feel like it and I was kind of busy, so I just kind of played them. And yeah, so I'm just gonna start over again. As I said before, it's just mostly for myself, so I'm perfectly fine with that. Yeah, so this is the beginning of a new draft league. It's kind of like a mini one. It's an 8-mon draft league. And basically this is for the Champions Tournament, which is a tournament made by a collaboration between many Discord servers, like draft league Discord servers, and we're kind of basically just uniting together and duking it out. So just as a quick rundown, there are 5 divisions: singles, Ubers, VGC, doubles, little cup, and low tier. And as you can see probably by the Metagross, I am representing the random draft league RDL for the Ubers division. So all the details can be found in the description. I'll just put the documents in the YouTube description, but basically we just drafted an 8-mon and we're just gonna duke it out and see how it goes. Basically, it's a round robin format, so not round robin, it's a double elimination format. So if our RDL, like the entire league, loses once, we can play one more time before we are officially kicked out. If we lose the second time, then obviously we're gone. And we're basically pitted up against a random team every week. This week's gonna be a bit longer due to like delays, so it's gonna be until the end of next Saturday that we have week 1. How a team wins is that in these 5 divisions we each play a match, and if you win it, you get a point. If you lose a point. And so if you need to win 3 out of the 5 games to be able to progress, and then you win the overall week and you pass on. So even if I 6-0 this guy, if all 4 of my teammates, lose, for example, then it's basically for nothing. It's kind of like a very casual. It's a very casual sparring match, basically. It wasn't meant to be this big, I don't think. It was just supposed to be like, oh, let's just pit against each other and have some fun. But then lots of people wanted to join, and it became a big thing. But at its core, it's still just a for fun kind of thing. There's no differential tracking and stuff like that. It's just a double elimination tournament. So it's a point-based draft, and we had a budget for 44 points for 44 points for Ubers, and total budget of 115 points, I believe, to draft 8 Pokemon exactly, no more, no less. And yeah, just the points will be, like the pointing tier list will be in the description, as I said. So I guess we can just begin. Yeah, I'm just gonna explain why each mon was picked, and how it works for the team and how I plan to use it. So we're gonna start off here with Metagross. You probably would have expected something big, like Marshadow, Mega Mewtwo, Arceus, or at least something like a legendary, like, I don't know, Groudon, Ho-Oh, whatnot. But this was actually suggested by one of my teammates, Harrison, who said that Metagross is absolutely underpriced in this tier list. I've personally never played Ubers, so I cannot really confirm myself, but looking at it compared to all the other Pokemon at 20, I definitely agreed, and I went with it. And he actually suggested another, and as you guys can see, 20 points. Actually, the cheapest Uber is 19 points, so 20 points gives us the ability to buy a 24-point Uber as well. Which one that is, I will not say yet, but it synergized quite well, and actually we picked it last. The reason we only picked the second Uber last is because we were the only, like, I looked at the picks of everyone else, and we were the only team who picked an Uber that was below below 26, and aside from one other team, but and if you get below 26, then obviously that forces you to not be able to buy another Uber. So there was actually another team that did buy something that was below 26, I believe RCS Electric, but they already spent their points on something else. So basically it was impossible for that other legendary, actually our top mon, to be drafted by anyone else. And so that actually gave us a free draft and a free guaranteed draft without having to draft at all. So I just kind of saved it for last because why not? Gave us an edge over getting sniped, so I was pretty happy with that. So Mega Metagross here is, as you can see with the stats, if I pull them up, it's absolutely insane. So Steel Psychic is a pretty good typing, not the best in my opinion, has a ton of weaknesses. Like Steel and Psychic don't cover each other's weaknesses at all, barring Bug and Fighting. And yeah, that's not really that great, honestly. And you know, taking neutralities from close combats, it's still good, but not great. But still, like, it's a really good Pokemon regardless. 110 speed is phenomenal, especially for like a starting pick. It just like boosts our speed tiers like immediately. Has like defenses above 100, like aside from 80 HP, which is really good. 150 defense is nothing to scoff at, it's like massive, and its attack stat is 145, which is same as Landorus Therian, but it has Tough Claws being the ability that boosts all contact moves by 1.3 times. It used to be 1.5 I believe, but now it's 1.3, which kind of sucks, but yeah, it's a free life orb that boost for us in anything we do, so there's nothing to complain about. If we look at his move pool, it's phenomenal. It gets a setup in agility. Can't use weakness policy obviously because its item is always Metagross side, but agility is really useful for certain scenarios when you want to outspeed your opponent. That outspeed the 110, which can be the case in Ubers especially. You get priority in Bullet Punch, which is phenomenal. You get body press if you want to run body press on that 150 defense stat. You get let's see here, Grass Knot for those pesky bulky waters if you really want to, and it's coming off of base 105 special attack, so really it's nothing bad. Phenomenal coverage in fighting in Hammer Arm, gets Ice Punch, gets Iron Head and Meteor Mash if you want accuracy or power. Power Up Punch is a setup option, and you get Psychic coverage and Psycho Cut or Zen Headbutt, Rock Slide to hit you know, fire types, flying types, etc. Got special coverage too, so we can run that as well. Technically we can run Expanding Force with a Pokemon that we're going to reveal later, and Thunder Punch as well. So yeah, it obviously gets Toxic, it gets Substitute, obviously not the best when you don't have leftovers, but it is also a rocker if we do want to choose to rock. So yeah, plenty of options available for this. And oh, one more thing about this league I forgot to mention. For some reason, Dex Cut moves are back. So with the two exceptions being Pursuit and Hidden Power, those two are banned. So that's worth noting. Also, Explosion's right here as well. So Explosion isn't a contact move, so it's not actually that great, but it's still an option. And yeah, that's basically what there is to Metagross. Obviously the weaknesses we have to patch up are pretty immense. We got Ground, we got Ghost, Dark, Fire, can't think of any else. Dark, okay, let's see, Bug, no. Well, I think that's basically it, but those are pretty big weaknesses that we need to look after in the coming things, and also it's has a lot of neutralities that we still probably want to deal with as well, but this is a very good start to our team. Next up, as you guys can see, it's Landorus Therian for 16 points. Landorus Therian is not an Uber, so all the Pokemon except for the last month now are going to be non-Ubers. Landorus Therian is really great for dealing with, you know, physical attackers, and it's a ground immunity right there. And not only is it a ground immunity, it intimidates the ground attack user, so it can be a really powerful pivot to deal with any physical Pokemon, especially like physical Ubers, which just want to come in and deal damage. We can stop that in its tracks with Landorus, and very few very few Ubers can hit it well super effectively. Like with Stab, like its only weaknesses are water and ice. Ice types are kind of screwed over by Metagross if you try and do anything funny. And water is basically Kyogre. Kyogre is banned. I can't think of any other water type Ubers off the top of my head apart from Arceus. Yeah, the ice types are the Kyurem variants and Arceus Ice, which, yep, they don't really like. Okay, no one drafted Arceus Ice. I'm just gonna say that out loud. And also, like Metagross can kind of just deal with any ice type at once. So yeah, we kind of need a way to deal with bulky waters, but apart from that, Landorus Therian is a really good addition to this team. It is a second rocker, gets Defog as well, so it can be a Defogger. It gets U-turn as a pivot. Earthquake is just a strong spammable move. Its attack stat is 145, so you don't even need to invest in attack to dish out massive damage. If you look at this with 31 IVs, uninvested Landorus is 326, which is the same as nearly max attack, 100 attack stat, and it has a 105 special attack stat too if you want to run special one day. And yeah, it has phenomenal well-rounded bulk and 89, 19, 80, which is really good, especially if you invest in special defense, and Intimidate boosts its defense automatically. It's like a free physical assault vest. And speed tier of 91 is phenomenal as well, complements Metagross pretty nicely. The speed gap is a bit wide, but the only Pokemon that can really exploit that are 105 Pokemon with 105 speed, so like around that level, which aren't very many, and you'll see in the future we also have stuff that can punish those as well. So yeah, we're gonna keep looking down here. There's plenty of move options here. It can run Psychic, can run Sludge Bomb, special attacks, can run Smackdown, Earthquake. Yeah, just U-turn, Toxic, Sword Stance, Explosion. Plenty of options to enable Metagross. You're gonna be seeing that there's actually gonna be a lot of pivots, and that's because Ubers, you kind of want to just bring in your Uber as many times as you can. So any pivots that are available are gonna be really appreciated. So here's Landorus Therian for us. Next up is a really cheap option. Might be a bit weird, but just didn't feel like I needed anything else at the time, so felt like grabbing it. Ribombee. Ribombee is actually everything we needed. I will like spoil a little bit. The last Pokemon is a Dragon type, so it completes our fantasy core of Dragon Steel Fairy with a decent Dragon immunity. It doesn't need to be amazing because Metagross is right there to eat any Draco Meteors it wants anyway. Yeah, and it's just kind of here to set up webs and also be just a menace. 124 speed is really great. 95 special attacks, not the best, but it's actually surprisingly good. You can just hit things really hard with fairy and bug coverage. Energy balls there as well if you want to hit something. Obviously gets walled by steel types, but Landorus Therian deals with many steel types very well. And it just has a lot of options. I didn't know it got switcheroo. I mean, got switcheroo and trick, so both are basically the same. Basically, this guy can sticky web, it can quiver dance. It probably won't quiver dance because the power level is just too high. But yeah, just so many options for this. I doubt we're gonna bring it very often. It also gets U-turn as well, so fast U-turn into whatever it wants. Could just be a pivot, could be a defogger actually. Can also get aromatherapy for cleric work. Like if Metagross or Landorus gets burnt, that's not an issue. We can just bring in Ribombee and aromatherapy. So, oh, and it can set up light screen and reflect, so it can be a screen setter as well. So just a phenomenal support from Ribombee for such a low price at 8. So yeah, looking forward to maybe seeing it. And also just, it's really just there for the speed tier mainly, if I'm to be honest, because it's just so fast. 124 can prevent a lot of Pokemon from going modest or adamant. Alright, next up on the list we have Rotom-Wash. Rotom-Wash here is actually used to be a Swampert. We kind of drafted together and I was asleep when Swampert was drafted, but I didn't really like Swampert, especially because we already had a ground type, and 8mon, when you double a type, you really want to have a good reason for it, because you don't have much room for like error when you want to complete type cores and stuff, and like have like plenty of stab options. I felt Rotom-Wash was just better, and also we had the points for it, so why not? It was 3 points more expensive than Swampert. Swampert was 11. Yeah, So we're just gonna go through Rotom. Everyone knows what Rotom does. It does Foul Play. It has Foul Play. It has Nasty Plot if you want, but mainly it's runs Volt Switch. It runs Hydro Pump. It runs maybe Trick or Defog. It can run. Does it get Taunt? No, it doesn't. It gets Toxic. It gets Will-O-Wisp. Gets Sucker Punch if you really want some emergency priority. It's just a really great mon. Dark Pulse is there as well. You can run Hex, Hex Strats. You can run Discharge to grab some paralysis while doing damage. Can run Screens. So yeah, plenty of options here. Obviously, Levitate ability gives us another ground resist. So all of these Pokemon here, 1, 2, 3, all eat up ground type hits for days, which is great for Metagross. And this is also a phenomenal fire type resist. Which is a great fire type resist for Metagross as well. What else did I forget to mention? Oh yeah, Slanderous and Ribombee both also resist Bug, which really helps with Metagross as well. Yeah, so basically Rotom is really just a really good bulky pivot. As I said before, we really want pivots, and Rotom's like a phenomenal pivot. It also brings a lot of utility to the team by bringing spreading burns and toxics, which can really help set up Mega Metagross, especially if you want to also grab screens as well. So yeah, that's the team. Sorry, that's Rotom Wash for you. Next up, we got a Alolan Muck. So I kind of just, I wasn't really thinking when I drafted this, but it wasn't. I actually drafted Drapion, which was 8 points compared to Muckalola, which is 11 points. So I just kind of grabbed Drapion because I felt like, okay, well, I need a Dark and I need Ground Poison. Just looked the first thing and I clicked it because I was kind of in a rush at the time. But then I realized, wait, there's a better one in Muckalola. I can just grab that instead. So at the end, we transacted it for Muckalola. Yeah, it's just kind of here because I needed. It's a really good ghost resist because, you know, almost all ghost attacks are going to be Shadow Ball. Poltergeist is, I mean, gonna exist, like, but really the main physical ghost type attacker is gonna be Marshadow, and that guy doesn't run Poltergeist, it runs Spectral Thief. So yeah, Muckalola is pretty decent as a special tank. So Landorus already can eat up physical hits with Intimidate, but Muckalola can also do special attacks as well, which can free up Lando's ability to maybe be offensive, for example. Or Rotom's ability to be bulky in either direction, maybe run Rocky Helmet Fizda. Yeah, Muckalola has a. At first I wasn't really sure what it did because it kind of looked like the same as Drapion but without T-Spikes. But then I thought about it, and then like Harrison told me, he was like, oh, it's a special wall. Yes, it is. 105 HP, 100 special defense. It's pretty decent. If you slap an Assault Vest on that, it eats things for days. You can give it Acid Armor to be physically bulky. You can Curse. You can Clear Smog to stop setup. You can just Boom. We have another Boom. We get Foul Play, which is an option that's really good as well. Knockoff support and Memento as well for momentum. Haze to stop any setup as well. It gets special coverage, but no one really. It's 65 special attack. We're not going to be using that. Really don't understand why it gets Moonblast. We can't run Pursuit. I don't know why it gets Rock Polish. I'm not sure. I don't think we're going to be running Rock Polish, but yeah, it's just going to be like. It just has great coverage. It gets Elemental Punches. It gets stab options and phenomenal typing. It's only weak to ground, and if you look at this, everyone eats ground type attacks. Like Landorus, Ribombee, and Rotom Wash, they all eat up ground type attacks. And so yeah, I'm not really concerned at all about eating those. Yeah, another thing is it gets Focus Punch, which could be fun if you want to just catch something off guard. Yeah, so basically that's it. It also gets Poison Touch as an ability, which isn't the best, but when you pair that with Poison Jab, which has a 30% chance to poison as well, that makes it a, 51% chance to poison a target every time you hit it, so that's pretty good. I will take that for sure. Next up, we get something a bit more expensive and a bit more speedy in Infernape. So Infernape is here for basically as a Scarf user, and also a just wall breaker in general. It can do anything we want it to. If we look at its stats, phenomenal. 108 speed, 104 attack, 104 special attack. Maybe not as high as, you know, a lot of later gen Pokemon, but it is it's like regardless, nothing switches into its firefighting stats. It's really powerful. Most days you can just run Flare Bullets, Close Combat, Mach Punch, and coverage move, and you're gonna be able to do whatever. But also it gets moves like Encore, it gets Counter, it can run Calm Mind if you want to run special sets like with Fire Blast, Grass Knot, Heat Wave, or even Overheat. It gets Shadow Claw for ghost coverage, Rock Slide, Stone Edge. It's another rocker, because to be honest, like if Landorus wasn't running rocks, like we didn't have rocks because Metagross is not running rocks. We're just gonna use that for beating things up. It gets Toxic Will-O-Wisp again. It gets SD, gets Nasty Plot. Yeah, and it's another pivot. So yeah, there's a lot of good things about Infernape. We needed a fire type. We needed a fighting type, and we also needed another dark resist. Oh yes, I forgot, Makalola eats up like dark and ghost type attacks, which Metagross hates, and also to some degree fighting type attacks, so it was pretty good in that scenario as well. And Infernape here also takes on the dark types, eats up knockoffs and then just revenge kills for days. So yeah, very powerful Pokemon. Next up is something cheaper. Oh, and you get to see our Uber, it's Kyurem White. But we're gonna move on to Indeedee. Indeedee is a 7-pointer mon. Kind of like our budget option. I was thinking like, well, we kind of have all the boxes ticked. We don't have a grass type, but we didn't really need it. Ribombee is a ground resist, not the best one, but we also have Landorus, Therian, and Rotom. So we didn't really need a grass type for ground resisting, and also grass types really aren't the best in general anyway. And if I was looking for a budget option, like if grass types that are good are priced high, and if I'm looking for a 7-point grass type, I'm never going to get anything good. So I just wanted to look at something else. And what else was I missing? I was missing the normal type, because I needed a secondary ghost resist. I didn't want Makalola to be eating all the ghost type attacks, especially if like something like Marshadow or Arceus Ghost, or just any kind of ghost type Pokemon wants to just beat me up. All they have to do is say, okay, well, how do I beat Makalola? And once they do, they win. So I didn't really want that. I wanted to double down on the ghost resists, and Indeedee was just the right option. This is Indeedee female only, so it's a bit more defensive, and honestly, that's the better Indeedee in Ubers in my opinion, because you're not going to be using this offensively. You can use a Scarf and Psychic Terrain, but I don't think that's the best option. You probably want something bulkier, and this is Indeedee female. Obviously, physical defense is absolute garbage, but its special defense is pretty usable, especially if you want to run a Psychic Seed. It's another aromatherapy. It gets Calm Mind, it gets Healing Wish, which was actually the main reason why I wanted to get Indeedee. There's other normal types as well, but mainly I was looking for a Pokemon with Healing Wish. Healing Wish obviously doesn't revive a Pokemon, but brings a Pokemon back to full health and also heals the status condition. And that's really helpful. For example, if my Metagross is low and it's burnt and I don't know what to do, I can just bring in Scarf Indeedee and I click Healing Wish, and I now have a second Metagross Mega. So it's basic. Yeah, I feel like it's kind of cheating. It's just a second legendary, a second Uber, just for free. You also get Trick to perhaps Stall Break, but I doubt you're going to get much Stall in Ubers. Basically, it's kind of a garbage Pokemon, other than the fact that it's a normal type that can switch into ghost types and click Shadow Ball, as well as click Healing Wish. Yeah, I don't really plan to use this very often, but when I do, it's going to be pretty good. Honestly, I'm not even going to be running Psychic Terrain probably when I use Indeedee, because a lot of these Pokemon want to use their priority, and by a lot, I just mean Infernape and Metagross. They want to use Bullet Punch and Mach Punch. So Psychic Terrain really probably is going to be more of a detriment to them, in fact. So probably just going to be running maybe Synchronized or Own Tempo. But of course, Psychic Terrain is always there. If we want to, for example, do an Expanding Force Metagross plan, which could be quite silly, but might work. And lastly, we have the big man himself, Kyurem White. So we drafted this guy last. Absolutely amazing Pokemon. You can see I haven't even invested anything in this, and look at that special attack stat. It's bright green, 170. If we go modest, that is a 482 special attack stat. That is absolutely disgusting. It gets 120 attack as well, so if you want to run physical, that's definitely an option as well. Phenomenal speed in 95. You'll be actually noticing that a lot of our Pokemon are very fast. You got Kyurem is like everything's hugging between 85 and like 110 around that area, so it's around the 100s, which isn't the best. We probably wanted a few more slower mons, but honestly it's 8 mon. Like, not every team's your team's gonna have flaws, and being too fast is definitely a flaw I'm happy to have compared to, you know, other stuff. And look at this move pool. It gets what, rock, ice, dragon, fighting, earth, ground, sorry, steel, fighting, freeze dry, phenomenal move. Yeah, freeze dry is so good. It's psychic, shadow ball, signal beam. Oh yeah, we can run signal beam actually. Yeah, so many options, and gets even substitute toxic if you want to like be annoying with sub roost. You know, it's just so good. Fusion flare as well obviously is fire coverage. Like, you can look at Kieran White, you'll think, okay, dragons, they lose to fairy and they lose to steel. Well, fairies we can hit with flash cannon, and steels we can hit with fusion flare. So there is literally no switch-ins to Kieran White. You cannot switch in. It's the only thing is it's a little bit slow. 95 is fast. It's like really fast, but like it's a little slow. And like it's also weak to stealth rocks, so you might want to run heavy duty boots or provide defog support, which as you can see there is plenty of in Ribombi, Landorus, and Rotom, as well as, is that it? Yes, that's it. So yeah, we have plenty of options, and you know, but most of the time you probably want to be either clicking Ice Beam, Freeze Dry, or Draco Meteor. Yeah, it's just so good. And you know, if you want to deal with steals as well, there's also Earth Power. Fusion Flare is slightly higher power, but Earth Power might be more spammable, as ground type is generally more spammable of a type. Yeah, we also get it gets screens. We're not running screens. It's just like the move pool doesn't look amazing. It is amazing though. You know, it gets Glaciate. We're not gonna be using Glaciate, guys. Don't worry. But yeah. Gets Ice Burn. You can run Ice Burn, Power Herb, Ice Burn. Why does it get Sunny Day? You're in Ice. I guess it's a Reshiram kind of thing. We can run Scale Shot to be fast. Yeah, there's plenty of mons. There's plenty of options with Kieran White, and one of the best things about Kieran White is that you can also run it next to Metagross, which you can't do with anything more expensive. So, yeah, plenty of options with these Pokemon. So that adds up to 115, and that is the team. I am honestly very happy with this team. Like, it's probably, in my opinion, one of the best teams I've ever drafted. Yeah, I'm just really happy with it. Initially I was planning to go with like a Ho-Oh Groudon kind of style, but Harrison taught me out of it, so Harrison's really great for suggesting this combination and identifying it, and then we kind of just built around that. Yeah, I think there's plenty of options here. The only thing is, you know, the only cleric is Indeedee, and it has to kill itself to do it, but it's Ubers, you're probably not going to be doing much clericing. You're probably just going to be dropping to a Draco Meteor if you do try to be bulky and annoying. So yeah, this is definitely more of an offensive team, but we do have defensive pieces, as you can see. Yeah, I'm just really happy with this team. So yeah, I'm gonna be trying to be recording every match for now. The first week's gonna be probably sometime this week. So week 2 would probably be like 2 weeks from now, because we want a bit more time to get into the first week and just chill. Scarlet and Violet's coming out around the corner. It might actually be out before this league is over, so yeah, very cool. So yeah, that concludes the draft analysis of this team. If you guys have any comments or feedback, I would greatly appreciate it. Like this, I'm looking forward to using this team, definitely. It seems very powerful, it seems very balanced, and yeah, just really happy about it. So yeah, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.